Having faith in what's about to emerge. This is a piece I wrote called A Seeming Stillness. I wrote it in Granada in Spain over a couple of years. I wrote it in my favorite coffee shop in the world, the Cafeteria Barista Duran, down on by the River Douro, at the bottom of the steep valley, one side of which holds this warren of medieval houses and gardens called the Albaicin. The other side holds this very steep mountainside on top of which lives one of the most beautiful buildings in the world, the Alhambra. And I've often rented a place to write in the Albaicin, looking out on the Alhambra actually. And Granada is a wonderful place to write because at any time of night and day you can go out and get something to eat or drink, and so you can be on your own schedule actually. But one of the places where I would be on schedule would be 8 a.m. when the cafe barista Duran would open, and I was there one very hot summer morning. Actually, it can get incredibly hot in Granada in the summer. But no matter how hot it gets in Granada, there's often a trickle of cool water coming down the Douro at the bottom. Because, you know, if you look up the Douro, you see these mountains. You see the Sierra Nevada up at 9 or 10,000 feet, actually, feeding that water and feeding all the gardens in the Alhambra up above. They had a really remarkable set of sequias or aqueducts that brought water to the Alhambra and down into Granada. It's what fed it, it's what made the place inhabitable. And I was leaning over the stone balustrade on this cobbled street, looking down into the water because it was glinting and glimmering, and there were birds flickering above it and taking a drink and going up to the branches in the trees above. And I was looking at the way that that water fed all of these trees that were able to survive in the heat. And then I was remarking on the absolute stillness. You know, there was the movement of this water, but the place was just shock still with heat. Yeah. But then I looked up in the sky and I saw the tops of the leaves of all of the trees just moving. And as I looked, I realized that there was a parallel current moving to this current of water beneath. But between was about 40 feet of stillness, actually, of absolute stillness. And I said, and isn't that astonishing? You know? First of all, there's the image of the river and the stream, which for human beings is always an image of rest, actually, because it's actually moving but carrying things. It's moving and holding life, you know. It will carry cargoes, it will carry water to fields. It's doing work, but it's rested. Yeah. The other thing that's so close to a subconscious human understanding of insight about a river is that when you look at it and you give it its name, in this case the Douro, you're naming something which is already gone, actually. So it's like looking at the mirror. You name yourself, but actually the person you think you are is already disappearing, actually. You're going through this incredible disappearing act in order to inhabit the next incarnation of your life, and it's actually happening day by day. And one of the great tests of life is to keep up with the rate of that disappearance so that you're fully there for the reappearances that occur. But I looked at this movement and I said, isn't that astonishing? You know? And why is it so beautiful to human beings that things emerge out of stillness? One of the things that rest is for us is it's like a deep well from which we drink. What rest asks us is, will you drink from this deeper well, actually? Will you give yourself a break? Will you go for a walk without your phone? Leave it behind. It doesn't matter if you don't count all your steps in the day. It doesn't matter if your door isn't being knocked on directly by all of those people in your besieging life. Yeah. What about letting something else knock on your door? What about drinking from a deeper well? And so I was so moved by this sense of appearance from what looks like non-appearance. When we're resting, we think we're not doing anything, but actually all kinds of extraordinary things are happening. Even though I can't remember the details of my dream I was having this morning with all the poems and things I was going to say, I know for a fact that what I felt in that dream is present in this presentation now. It came out of a deep sense of giving over and resting into the pattern itself. Yeah. So I wrote this piece. It's called A Seeming Stillness. I wrote it over 2 years actually. I wrote it in the coffee shop and got almost to the end, and then it was in my notebook for a year, neglected, and I came back to Granada and opened it, and I actually finished it the following summer in the South same coffee shop. So A Seeming Stillness. We love the movement in A Seeming Stillness. We love the movement in A Seeming Stillness. We love the movement in rest. We love the movement in A Seeming Stillness. The breath in the body of the loved one sleeping. We love the movement in A Seeming Stillness. The breath in the body of the loved one sleeping. The highest leaves in the silent wood, a great migration in the sky above. The waters of the earth, the breath in the body. The first soft stir in the silence beneath a strident voice. The internal hands of the mind, always looking for touch. Thoughts, seeking other thoughts, seeking other minds. The great arrival of form through all our hidden themes. We love the movement in A Seeming Stillness. The breath in the body of the loved one sleeping. The highest leaves in the silent wood, a great migration in the sky above. The waters of the earth, the breath in the body, the first soft stir the first soft stir beneath a strident voice. The internal hands of the mind, always looking for touch. Thoughts, seeking other thoughts, seeking other minds. The great arrival of form through all our hidden themes. I remember the sense of satisfaction when I wrote that line in the notebook, actually, with my coffee at my side there. There was just something about it that I'd never said before. The great arrival of form through all our hidden themes. We all carry these hidden themes around with us. Yeah? Will you say them into the world? But not willfully, not tying yourself into knots to say them, but uncovering them, resting into them, getting out of your own way, actually. The themes are there, the questions are there, the inheritance is there. It's there if you will clear a space for them and make a channel, so they can actually emerge. And it's then when we use will and intellect, in order to do things within short periods of time. But we don't base our identity on will and effort. No, will and effort and strategy are meant to be good servants to the soul's desire, something we find in a deep sense of foundational arrival we call rest. Our life is a breath then, a give and a take, a coming and a going, a bridge between singing a separate self and learning to be selfless. Our life is a breath then, a coming and a going, a give and a take. So the great arrival of form through all our hidden themes. And this breath in this body able just for a moment to give and to take, to ask and be told, to find and be found, to hold and be held, to bless and be blessed. We're all a sunlit moment come from a long darkness. What moves us always comes from what is hidden. What seems to be said so suddenly has lived in the body for a long, long time. We're all a sunlit moment come from a long darkness. What moves us always comes from what is hidden. What seems to be said so suddenly has lived in the body for a long, long time. Our life like a breath then, a give and a take, a bridge, a central movement between singing a separate self and learning to be selfless. Breathe then as if breathing for the first time. Breathe then as if breathing for the first time. We all know intuitively the place of deep breathing in a deep achievement of rest. Breathe then, as if breathing for the first time, as if remembering with what difficulty you came into the world, what strength it took to make that first impossible in-breath and turn it into a cry to be heard by the world. Your essence has always been the first vulnerability of being found, of being heard, of being seen, and from the very beginning, the one who was always needed and being given so much invisible help. This is how you were when you first came into the world. This is how you were when you took your first breath in this world. This is how you are now, all unawares in your new body and your new life. This is the raw vulnerability of your everyday, and this is how you will want to be and be remembered when you leave the world. This is how you were when you first came into the world. This is how you were when you took your first breath in that world. This is how you are now, all unawares in your new body and your new life. This is the raw vulnerability of your everyday, and this is how you will want to be and be remembered when you leave the world.